You're 23. You work double shifts. Your shoes smell like fry oil. Your bank account has 2 settings, empty and almost empty. Every month you send money home. Every month you promise yourself things will get better. You don't know how. You just keep moving. Then one Friday night your coworker drags you to a bar. You don't want to go. You're tired. But sometimes life changes because you're too exhausted to say no. She's sitting alone. Not scrolling her phone. Not talking to anyone. Just watching the room like she's seen all of this before. You say something stupid. She laughs. Not because it's funny. Because you're trying. Her name is Valentina. She writes her number on a napkin. You fold it carefully and put it in your wallet. At the time it feels like a lucky break. Years later you'll realize it was the most important decision of your life. The first few months feel normal. Coffee dates. Late-night conversations. Walks through the city. She never talks much about her family. You notice it. You don't push. Everyone has things they don't want to discuss. Besides, you're falling in love. And love has a way of making unanswered questions feel unimportant. Then she invites you to dinner. You expect a house. You find a fortress. High walls. Steel gates. Security cameras. Armed men pretending not to be armed men. The property looks less like a home and more like a private country. You consider turning around. You don't. Because Valentina is holding your hand. Her father greets you personally. He's calm. Polite. Soft-spoken. The kind of man who never raises his voice because nobody has ever forced him to. He calls you mijo. Offers you a drink. Asks about your family. Your work. Your dreams. The conversation feels normal. Too normal. That's what makes it terrifying. At dinner nobody talks about business. Nobody mentions the security. Nobody mentions the convoy parked outside. Nobody mentions the men carrying radios. Everyone behaves as if this is completely ordinary. And slowly you realize something. The most powerful people never need to explain power. Everyone around them already understands it. 6 months later you know. Nobody tells you directly. Nobody has to. You see enough. The expensive cars. The phone calls. The way people become nervous when certain names are mentioned. The way police officers suddenly become polite. The way neighbors avoid eye contact. One day the pieces finally connect. And you understand exactly who Valentina's father is. A cartel boss. Not a rumor. Not an accusation. The real thing. You should leave. Every rational thought in your head says leave. Run. Disappear. Start over. Find someone else. Find a normal life. Then Valentina tells you she loves you. And suddenly nothing feels simple anymore. Because danger is easy to run from. Love isn't. Her father invites you into his office one Sunday. The room smells like leather and expensive whiskey. There are family photos on the wall. Religious paintings. Awards. Old pictures. Normal things. Almost. He pours 2 drinks. Slides one toward you. Then he says something you'll never forget. Family knows everything. A pause. And family doesn't leave. That's it.
No shreds.
No speech.
No guns.
Just 3 sentences. And somehow they feel heavier than anything you've ever heard. You marry Valentina a year later. Small chapel. Private ceremony. 30 guests. Half of them look like businessmen. The other half look like they could start a war. You say your vows. You mean every word. That's the strange part. Nothing about your feelings is fake. The danger is real. The fear is real. But the love is real too. Maybe that's what makes it impossible. Years pass. You adapt. Humans adapt to everything. You learn which questions not to ask. You learn which doors stay closed. You learn how silence works. You learn that some phone calls change the atmosphere of an entire house. You learn that nobody ever says the dangerous things out loud. Because they don't need to. Then your daughter is born. And everything changes again. You hold her for the first time. Tiny fingers. Tiny heartbeat. Tiny face. And suddenly the world feels larger and more fragile than it ever has before. For the first time you truly understand fear. Not fear for yourself. Fear for someone else. Valentina's father visits the hospital. He holds his granddaughter. And he cries. Real tears. No performance. No image. Just a grandfather holding a child. You watch him. And something inside you becomes confused. Because monsters aren't supposed to cry. Monsters aren't supposed to love. Monsters aren't supposed to look at a child like she's the most precious thing in existence. But they do. That's what makes people complicated. That's what makes them dangerous. The years continue. Life becomes routine. School pickups. Birthday parties. Family dinners. Security details.
Armurat vehicles.
Normal and abnormal fuse together until you can no longer tell where one ends and the other begins. One night you lie awake beside Valentina. She's asleep. Your daughter is asleep. The house is quiet. You stare at the ceiling. And think about that bar. The napkin. The bad joke. The first conversation. The version of yourself who walked inside without knowing any of this. Without knowing what waited on the other side. You wonder what would happen if you could go back. Would you do it differently? Would you walk away? Would you save yourself? The answer comes immediately. No. Because some lives don't happen because you choose them. Some lives happen because they choose you. And the truth is simple. If you had to live it all again, the fear, the danger, the wait, the uncertainty, you'd still walk into that bar. You'd still say something stupid. And you'd still fall in love with the girl who never told you her last name.